Tonight on Podcast Them Down, we have another installment of A Historian Ruins Metal. Podcast Them Down. Hail, Metal Nation! It is we, Tim, Matt, and Doug, and we are here on this episode of Podcast Them Down. We promised it last year, I think, and never got around to it, but we're finally at the point where we can do another Historians Ruins Metal. So without further ado, I'm going to transfer it over to Matt, the historian, the resident historian.
I am both a resident and a historian, so that's really great. And you know, Tim and Doug, it is my favorite month of the year. It is the month of Metallica, and I am especially happy because I have spent a lot of time preparing this amazing history of the Gadsden flag, and we're going to talk about "Don't Tread on Me."
Hang on.
And
hang on.
What?
It's not Metallica.
It's Metallica, bro. It's fucking Metallica.
No, it's Iron Maiden.
Oh, wait, what?
The Iron Maiden.
Iron Maiden.
Come on, Matt. He sent the backdrop last week.
It's Iron. Fuck. I did so much on the Gadsden flag. Like, you really, I spent weeks preparing. So, okay. Fuck.
Wasn't he the guy who bought a little sliver of Mexico?
Well, you know what? You'll never fucking know now because it's not Metallica. It's fucking Iron Maiden, apparently.
Don't tread on me unless I paid for it.
Hey, no. None of that. That's canceled now.
Well, these colors don't run.
No.
Hey, see, well, that was a Maiden thing. I got you.
Okay, all right, that's fine. Iron Maiden. Oh, okay. Yeah. Did I ever tell you how Iron Maiden itself is totally bullshit?
Well, it's a good way to start off the month by alienating everyone.
Oh, no, hold on. I'm not talking about I'm not just talking about the band.
We'll qualify Matt's statement on the band, but Matt, tell us about the Iron Maiden.
Well, you know what? Actually, why don't you tell me, like, this is the band of the month, apparently. We've devoted all of May to Iron Maiden. So what the fuck is an Iron Maiden? Anybody know? I mean,
isn't it like it's like a sarcophagus, you know, because they have an Egyptian theme with spikes in it, and you put someone in it, and then you slam the door shut.
Okay,
and it pokes them. Isn't that it?
I mean, that is what it is. But what if I told you? What if I told you that the Iron Maiden is totally made up and was probably never, ever used ever? There was never any blood. You weren't standing and staring. You didn't see the blood flow as it falls to the floor. And the Iron Maiden can be fought because it's a fucking phony.
Why? Apparently you can buy them on Etsy.
Yeah,
which is further evidence.
Yeah, I mean, you can buy them on Etsy. Okay, so if you had to associate a period of time with the Iron Maiden, what period of time? Like if I said, "Hey, I have an Iron Maiden. It's original. It's from the blah blah blah." What period of time does it come from?
I'd stick it with all the
17th century.
I'd stick it with all the Spanish Inquisition stuff.
Right. It's a medieval torture device, right? It's like heretics and Cathars and the grim reality of the Middle Ages and the Dark Ages. Nah, it's all fucking made up. It was made up in like 1782. There's never been any Iron Maidens ever. Okay, now that's not entirely true because there are. All right, so let's think of our definition of an Iron Maiden, right? It's one, it's made of iron. Two, it's in the shape of a lady, right? And three, it's like a sarcophagus with spiky things that come and kill you somehow, which, as we will discuss, is patently ridiculous. But okay, so there are some ancient potential Iron Maiden candidates. The earliest one comes from a report about a Spartan tyrant named Nabis. So he made a statue of his wife.
Okay.
And allegedly, you would, if you owed the king money, I guess if you didn't pay your taxes, you would go to this like statue, and you would I guess take it by the hand, and then like the statue would hug would hug the victim, right? And then nails would come out of the breasts and the arms, and if you didn't pay the king money, you would get stabbed to death.
But it was backwards.
Yeah, no, I mean it was like a allegedly it was like this woman statue, so it wasn't like a sarcophagus thing. It was like a lady, and somehow it would hug you, and nails would come out. Now we should mention that this was only written by some Roman asshole called Polybius. We have no idea how this could work. We have no idea if it was real, but this seems to be the first ever recorded Iron Maiden. So I ask you, does that count as an Iron Maiden?
No, because Iron Maiden, you specifically have to be closed into it. Everyone
inside.
knows that.
Okay. All right. Okay. Here's candidate number 2. Okay. This is reported both in Tertullian and Augustine of Hippo, so two early church fathers, Roman. They lived in North Africa. Now they tell a story that happened like several hundred years ago before they were born, but they say there was this Roman general, Marcus Atilius Regulus, and so he was captured in the war.
When you said that, I pictured the guy running and then freezing for a second, and then it appears below him his name.
Oh.
Like the Roadrunner and Coyote.
Yeah, exactly. So he was fighting the Carthaginians.
Fasticus Hungrius.
Romanus Pierces Buxicus. Okay. All right. This is a very convoluted story. He was captured in the war with Carthage. The Carthaginians wanted to trade him for a whole bunch of Carthaginian soldiers who had been captured by the Romans. And they figured that he was a very famous general, so like he's at least worth 100 Carthaginian soldiers. The plan is to take him to Rome, and his job is to say, you should trade me for all these Carthaginian soldiers. They bring him to the Senate of Rome, and he argues against the trade. The Carthaginians are then pissed at him, bring him back to Carthage, put him in a box, and then they put nails in the box. It's I guess a small enough box where he gets all pokey and dies.
Too improvised to count.
Yeah, it sounds like a shitty magician's act.
It also isn't mentioned by anybody but these guys. And it seems strange that they would go, like, if your captured general is in Rome, like, why didn't you just, I don't know, knock off the heads of the two Carthaginian ambassadors? I mean, you're already at war. Are you going to be at double war? Like, I don't really get that part either. But they're like, yeah, let's go back. Okay. And we'll put you in this box. Okay. All right. So there is one other possibility. This is from Islamic history. During the Abbasid Caliphate, there was a vizier like the prime minister to the caliph,
at least we're going forward closer in time.
So he made a box that had spikes in it.
So now we're talking.
But it wasn't in the shape of a lady. It was just a box. And also, apparently, the only person to die in it was him. So, because
was he working on it and slipped?
No, apparently, he fell out of favor, and he was a cruel guy. So, in the fun switcheroo of history, he was the only person killed in the torture device he made. But again, I would argue that a box with sticks or spikes is not really an Iron Maiden.
Right. There's nothing Maiden about it.
Right. Yeah. It's just like a spiky box. And it's not Spiky Boxden, it's Iron Maiden, right? Okay. So, there is no historical record of an Iron Maiden. You will notice that none of these things come from the medieval period. But what did happen is in the 19th century and late 18th century, all these assholes were like, we're so progressive and we're so smart and we're a lot smarter than those medieval guys. And they did all kinds of horrible things. So there was this whole medieval, it was the first Gothic fashion trend, right? All these Gothic revival things. And in that, they were it was a really brutal time where men could be men and women got killed for being witches. So they invented all this torture stuff.
I thought the Gothic revival was caused by the Matrix.
Well, I mean, that's the second Gothic revival. This is the first one.
Or the Crow.
So,
I'll edit whatever joke's funnier.
So, the actual first Iron Maiden that we know of appeared in Nuremberg in 1802, and it was very clearly forged. It's just why? And if you think about it as a torture device, it makes very little sense. Number one, what's the end game of the Iron Maiden?
It's either to kill or to torture.
Okay, but I mean, as a way to kill someone, it seems really stupid because at least in a traditional Iron Maiden, so the Nuremberg copy, the Nuremberg Iron Maiden was probably destroyed in the Second World War, but there have been copies of it made throughout the 19th century.
Throw down a metal card and issue a challenge.
Oh fuck!
Oh no!
I forgot about those.
Your comment was needlessly subjective. What's a not stupid torture device?
Okay, for example, I wish I had one around here. I don't. A hammer is a pretty great torture device that is not stupid. Now, you can get a spiky hammer or a regular old hammer, but you can torture someone all day long.
What about the rack?
Yeah, the rack. A big spiky stick. I mean, it seems like there's a lot easier if you want to just pierce someone's flesh. Why go through the middle, Maiden? Why not just tie him down and stick him?
It's like lazy Bond villainy. You know? It's to achieve the same end, you've spent lots of money.
Yeah, it's you went through this whole process of forging and constructing an Iron Maiden. Now, another thing to think about, and so one of the first ever historical accounts is made by this German philosopher and philologist named Johann Philipp Siebenkees, and so he said that this guy, who we don't know his name, but we know on the date he was fucking executed. There was this coin forger, and he was put in an Iron Maiden, and it was so designed that it tore out his eyes and tore up his genitals. But if you think about human shapes and sizes, an Iron Maiden is really impractical because, like, if the purpose of the device is to kill, if you get a fat guy or a tall guy or a lanky guy in there, you're just gonna kill them when you close the door. But if you have a little guy in there, then they might be able to just stand there, and it's really more annoying than anything else. Like, do you have to have 8, 10? Like, do you have a medium Iron Maiden and a large Iron Maiden? It just really doesn't seem a very effective piece of torture, right?
I don't know. Presuming the objective is to kill, the arbitrariness of just having one size and your fate and comfort when meeting it wedded to this one, the one right way.
Yeah, but I mean, again, I feel like there's lots of easier ways to kill people. Again, with said hammer, that is much more efficient, economical. Now, there is a case. So there is a school of thought that says a lot of these torture instruments, and this is both like historically and contemporaneously true. A lot of like horrible torture implements exist to work with the torturee's mind rather than actual application, right? So maybe you never use an Iron Maiden, but you have one in the corner before you wail on the guy with a pool cue. You're like, holy shit, are they going to put me in that? And then you bash him over the head with a pool cue. We should probably trigger warning if anyone has been tortured to death. They shouldn't listen to this episode. But
before you don't listen, hit that subscribe button.
Yeah, subscribe and alert. Ring the bell.
Torture. Wait till the third of our Maiden episodes coming up.
Close that Iron Maiden. So I mean, that's all that I really wanted to say about the Iron Maiden. Like, I think one, it's made up by fucking asshole 19th century jerks who think they're so much better. Like, these are the same pieces of shit who made up the whole like medieval people thought the world was flat and like Columbus thought he was gonna sail off the edge of the earth. No, they knew since fucking Roman times that the earth was round. Earlier than that, Greece, in fact, and they always knew it. Like, they never didn't know the earth was round, except like right now. But back in the day, they all knew the earth was round. It's pretty obvious.
Wasn't the rite of prima nocta also invented for the same reason?
So that
what movie
was made
was that
up
from?
I think it was in Braveheart.
Yeah, that sounds
and I think
right.
I think it also might be in. Those are like the kind of things that like Walter Scott made up. Like, I think it might be in Ivanhoe. But yeah, all these
It's about a Russian farmer and his tool.
Yeah, that's right. So like all these things. Now, there were like horrible things that medieval people did to each other. So one potential predecessor, like corollary to the Iron Maiden, which is slightly hilarious, is this thing called a Schandmantel. All right. So it means a coat of shame. But you have seen it. And you don't even know. All right. Think about Looney Tunes cartoons.
Okay. I usually do.
Occasionally, there will be a drunk character or a character that will otherwise lose their clothing. And what are they wearing?
A barrel.
A barrel. Right. Okay. So one theory is that Iron Maidens come from this Schandmantel, also known as a Spanish coat. And it's basically because of course it is, right? So basically it's a barrel. Now it's not like the fireman suspenders barrel, but it's a barrel where they like have, I guess, like a segmented top with a hole in it, and so they lock your head in the top of the barrel, and then they have like a way for your feet to come out, and you've been caught as a public drunk, and you just wander around town in this fucking barrel. Okay, so I mean that's not great. I mean, that's probably painful and humiliating, especially because people are throwing like rotten vegetables at you. But still, I think it's I would rather have that every day of the week than fucking Iron Maiden gouging my eyes out. So yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's
Apparently, the Pair of Anguish. Have you heard of this? That's another fake one. That was never actually used. What it is it looks like a 3 pronged speculum that they twist and it opens and it's put into the mouth or other places to torture or mutilate. But apparently it was never used. It's not a real thing.
Well, it sounds. I mean, to Matt's point, all of these convoluted devices are probably largely psychological, and then just hack at them with something, stab them with a spear, crucify them. There's a lot of
so much easier and more economical, and spending that taxpayer money wisely. And if you don't pay your taxes, that robot lady with the spikes in her arms is gonna hug you to death. And I know, I want to close by, we've already mentioned the Iron Maiden song, Iron Maiden. And again, I think we've highlighted a lot of the problems. But I think there's one other fundamental problem with the Iron Maiden song. And that is the lyric, "See the blood flow," right? See the blood flow, watching it shed above my head. If you're really in
above
an iron... Huh?
Above my head.
Yeah. See the blood flow, watching it shed above my head. Iron Maiden wants you dead, right? If you're in an Iron Maiden, what the fuck are you seeing? It's all closed up.
All right,
I wouldn't be able to see anything.
Futuristic Iron Maiden that's transparent.
But I mean,
like the shells that Spinal Tap got trapped in during that one song.
Yeah. Okay. All right. You know what? I'll retract that criticism.
Well, I have a question for you.
Okay.
The Margaret Thatcher.
The Iron Lady.
The Iron Lady. All right. So, the single cover for Sanctuary, which was their second single,
okay,
has Eddie having stabbed Margaret Thatcher.
Wow.
And she's lying, presumably dead on the ground, and it was censored in the UK.
I mean, that's probably, I guess that's... Oh, but they didn't censor it very well.
Well, what I don't like about it is the write-ups all go, well, she was called the Iron Maiden. No, she wasn't.
Yeah, she was not. She was definitely not called the Iron Maiden.
That's revisionist history. So, anyway...
and that's some bullshit Sabaton history, which we'll get to. Don't worry.
Yeah, so, one of these days. That was something else we promised in the first year.
Yeah, well, we'll get there. Can we all... I mean, this is probably not...
She didn't die because in a later single, Women in Uniform, she's waiting to assassinate Eddie with a machine gun.
Okay.
It's funny you mentioned that because I was just about to ask Matt for his take on the lyrics to Women in Uniform.
I mean,
sounds like a grand time.
I mean, that does... I mean, I love a woman in uniform myself. I think it is very clear from the Sanctuary cover that she's not dead because she's smiling. And we especially Doug and I know that is when you're stabbed and you begin to laugh or smile, that is a sign of arrogance and a need to grow up. But that recklessness put us on a direction. And if you pull on that thread, the tapestry of your life will unweave. And maybe in another 16 years, we'll understand what that means too. But yeah, I mean, I think Women in Uniform, great song. great.
Did they have
message.
747s at that point?
Are they
As
definitely?
reference in the song?
What? Wait, in the medieval period, or by the time the Iron Maiden sang the song?
I guess women in uniform is describing some specific battle, which seems to have taken place in the the 70s.
I mean, the
That's a
747.
cover.
747 is a fairly old aircraft, right? So its first flight was in the late 60s, I believe. So it is entirely possible that they these women in uniform in their khaki, white, and blue, they could certainly have come on a 747. Heathrow, a famous airport that served the 747. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure. Isn't this band Australian originally? The guys that they're covering. Yeah, that makes sense. Like Sydney to London, probably stopping, in Dubai somewhere. Yeah,
We know they stop in Lebanon.
well, they definitely. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, then there's definitely 747s.
All right, well, until next time, Metal Nation, keep your torture affordable and practical.
I'm just saying that if no black metal band has been called Pair of Anguish, they need to be.
Oh, that's something we can check right now.
I was bet Code of Shame. That's a great song. I just pointed out to Tim that it's been taken.
Oh,
no
man.
Pair of Anguish.
Wow, that's going to be a thing now.